Hey guys, welcome back to Discover Music. Today we will be talking about Billie Eilish's first album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? This album blew up in 2019, and Billie just released her new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. So in preparation to do a review of that album, I wanted to go back and re-listen to her first two albums. Now, as a metal fan, I was very surprised how much I enjoyed Billie Eilish's music. It had enough edginess and enough genre bending and punchiness that allowed me to really enjoy this record. I was quite surprised about that. So, being released on March 29th, 2019, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Is a genre bending mix of pop, electronopop, and dark pop. It has won tons of awards and was recently listed in Apple Music's top 100 albums of all time. This album explores themes of sleep, nightmares, anxiety, and even climate change, all with Billie's signature whisper style vocals and Phineas's unique production style. So I heard this album back when it came out in 2019 when everyone was recommending you listen to it. Now, I was a little bit skeptical because the only song I had heard from Billie at that time was Ocean Eyes, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. It had some nice dreamy moments and some good vocals from Billie, but it just wasn't something I was interested in. So, I did cave and I eventually did listen to this record when it came out, but I didn't have very high expectations at the time. Now, about 5 years later after this album's release, I highly regard this album as one of the best pop albums I have ever listened to. Now, I grew up listening to mostly early 2000s through the 2010s rock and metal scene. So I grew up on bands like Disturbed, Five Finger Death Punch, Avenged Sevenfold. I tried to diversify my music listening experiences and tastes. So with that being said, let's go track by track on this phenomenal Billie Eilish album. When We All Fall Asleep starts very strong with the hit single Bad Guy. Now by now it has been a bit overplayed, but it is still a banger when it pops on. The floor pounding bass, along with the whispery seductive vocals of Billie Eilish, filled with a crisp production and ominous switch-ups, all make this song an instant hit. Now, this is a song that I really do enjoy and I listen to on a regular basis. It is one that I have added onto the playlist with many other songs on this track list. And Bad Guy is a great exemplification of how Billie and Phineas are able to take a phenomenal yet unique sounding groove, especially in this pop landscape, and are able to make it earworm in you forever. It is a simple bass line that goes directly to your subwoofer, but with that, in combination of how much space Phineas gives Billie's voice to really be right in your ears, is masterclass. And it is a song I put on repeat at all times. Billie and Phineas follow this song up with a very relaxed, lethargic, but in a very good way, ballad called Zanny. It is a very haunting song about the dangers of drug use. This track showcases Billie Eilish's vocal range and vulnerability. The lyrics are a big standout on this song, where it really paints a vivid and haunting picture of the dangers and the struggles when you are on drugs that alter your mental status. And the way the performances on this track come across, it really hits you in the feels and it makes you invested and dive deep into the story that Billie is putting you on. This one is another standout track from this album. I will be saying that quite often because I do like quite a lot of songs on this record. The next song on this album, and I think is one of the most underrated songs, is You Should See Me in a Crown, the very first single that came out for this album. Now, this song, I believe I like it the most because it does bring a lot of rock elements to Billie's sound without actually adding all your stereotypical rock instruments and pacings and intonations. Her vocals feel very full and pound you with this sense of power that is really hard to grasp when you're seeing that she's still using her signature whisper vocals. There is great depth and range in the production of this song that allows each instrument and sound effect to shine through while still hitting you with that classic wall of sound feel. Billie's cockiness is back from Bad Guy. With a short reprieve in between with Zanny, she has come back in full force of feeling herself being very confident in what she's telling you. The catchy and infectious groove really brings this song home for me, and it always catches my ears properly every listen. The only knock I have on this song is that kind of spoken word bridge with all the effects on it. It just doesn't do it for me, but it is a minor blip in an overall fantastic song. Going on to the next track, All the Good Girls Go to Hell. This song starts out with an amazing bass groove that continues throughout the entire song. I love how the production seems to wrap around Billie's vocals, which allows her to be the center of attention while all the instrumentals are able to swirl around her. The vocal movement on this song, where she's able to go all around the chords, really brings ear candy and allows the listener to really hone in and focus their full attention on the song and the production and everything that's going on. This song really makes her vocals stand out, and it allows the song to have a lot of personality. And that's a theme that this album really has going for it. It has tons and tons of personality that I feel is lacking in a lot of modern music. A lot of music is made to be mass produced and mass heard, where Billie and Phineas really lean into their awkward, quirky, and unique character and personality. And it's just oozing all over the performances and production on this record. With the next song, Wish You Were Gay, we go back into the ballad soundscape, which I am not opposed to. Billie really nails a lot of these acoustic performances. Now, this song is a more bittersweet about relationships. The lyrics of this song has been analyzed to death by other creators on this platform, but just as a general overview, it talks about how Billie wishes that the person that she is interested in were gay, that he or she doesn't like her because of their preferred sexual orientation, instead of just something that's inherently wrong with her, that she would have to look into herself to admit of why she was undesirable to this person. Now, I do applaud Billie for making these kinds of lyrics, and it is very thought-provoking, and it attaches itself to you. This whole song has a lot of dynamically diverse ear candy, just like every song on this record, and it really allows the listener to come back down. The high point that You Should See Me in a Crown really brought you to. It is a very, very pretty song. We get back into the immense personality with the song When the Party Is Over. Now, this emotional ballad showcases Billie's raw vocals and the song's minimalistic production value. Billie stays very low in her register for a lot of the song, which adds a new timbre and texture to this song compared to the other songs on this album. For me, it is by far the prettiest song on this album, and it's just dripping with emotional diversity and heartbreak. Now, the next song, 8, I have never been a huge fan of this song, and on the repeat listen I did of this album before I started filming this review, it really didn't do much to change my opinion. Now, this is not the worst song on this album. It is pretty close to the others compared to some we'll talk about later. But I believe the baby-like vocals in the beginning and the Kickstarter sounding ukulele just aren't my favorites, and they don't sound as pleasant to my ears as the rest of the album does. It doesn't have the intricate details in all facets of the song like the others do. Now, that's not inherently a bad thing, but for me, it really did take me out of the flow of the album, and it does stick out a little within this track list. Now, going back into the great songs, the next one is My Strange Addiction, which of course has the vocal lines from The Office, which Billie and Phineas have both come out saying that they're huge fans of. I love the groove on this album. I like to listen for very groove forward songwriting in the songs that I like. So this one really exemplifies how crafty Phineas and Billy are when they are going about making the grooves for the album. And for this song in particular, they go for the more simple but effective method where they don't overload the track with a lot of production, a lot of grooves, a lot of sounds, where they more rely on the individual performances of each instrument to carry the song home, and I think it does a fantastic job at that. Now we get to another huge song on this album, Bury a Friend. Now this song sets its tone with its unsettling beat and lyrics about monsters under the bed. This song and lyrics sound very personal to Billie, and it really shows how she's very open about how she tries to conquer her fears, which makes her very relatable to her target demographic. It really shows that Billie knows how to craft her lyrics and her stories in order to not only be super unique to herself, so that she's always staying true to her quirky yet very real personality, but it allows the listener to also put themselves in her place in order to really immerse themselves in their story. And it really does help that her almost ASMR-like vocals encapsulates you and drags you in, almost against your will. The cool robotic intro adds to the eeriness of the lyrics. Dark Billie is interesting to me. When she's darker, more edgy, and she's allowing her kind of darker side to show through in not only her lyrics but her vocal stylings. That is very interesting to me, and that allows me to really involve myself in the album and to really dig deep. There's expert production on this song, like most of the album, using unusual sounds and beats and tones to really craft this epic soundscape for this song. Now we get to the track Ilo Milo, which is another one on this album that I believe is drastically underrated. The beautiful twinkly production expertly complements Billie's full vocals. This is one of my favorite vocal performances by Billie, and it really shows how versatile she really is. I hear a lot of common complaints that she sounds the same on every song, which I do not believe is true. I believe she really does put a lot of effort into making each one of her vocal performances unique, especially on this record. To me, I believe it is even harder to differentiate your vocals when you are in this whisper style, and I believe she does a very good job at that, especially on this song. Unfortunately for me, because I really do enjoy this song, it is only 2 minutes and 36 seconds. I wish it was longer, but it makes use of its full runtime. So being almost at the end of this track-by-track breakdown, we get to Listen Before I Go. Now this is another one that didn't really hit home too much for me. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad track. It is a beautiful piano ballad. She again is rocking in her lower register here on this song, which makes a very somber and depressed mood. Great sound effects throughout the production make her vocals really pop. This song gets very emotional, but kind of very heavy-handed for me. I can see these lyrics in this song resonating with a lot of people, just unfortunately it didn't do it for me. Now for the last true song on this album, I Love You. Here we find back-to-back epic emotional ballads, with the former being Listen Before I Go, and now this track, I Love You. This song is some of her most emotional stuff that I've heard from her, and it really sucks you into your storytelling. It makes you feel her pain, and that's a no short by how good the production and the performance are in this song. This is not a song that I want to put on my playlist and rock all the time, but I do believe it is a phenomenal song. It does have its merits, and I can see people who enjoy more of a ballad listening experience to just eat this song up. It does show for a great album closer. I know the last song is more of a mashup outro, so I don't really count it. This is the true album closer, and it is pretty great. Not as great as a lot of the other songs on this album, but this album is that good. They even, songs that really don't resonate with me as much, still are very good. So, for my overall impression and my final rating of this album, When We All Fall Asleep is undeniably a unique and creative album that pushed the boundaries of pop music in 2019. While this may not be everyone's cup of tea, Billie's songwriting, Phineas's production, and the album's cohesive themes definitely deserve recognition. I give this album a 74 out of 100, which on my grading scale is a great album. It currently ranks 12th out of the 325 albums I've reviewed, which is great. And it's in great company with Avenged Sevenfold's self-titled album and Asking Alexandria's From Death to Destiny. So, here I will put up on the side my track listings on from best to worst of what I thought of this record. Please let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts of Billie Eilish's debut album was. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I will be happy to have a nice conversation with you down below. I want to also take the time to thank you guys for all the support and the feedback and the comments of my last review of Pearl Jam's Yield. That review is a little more critical. I did not enjoy that album nearly as much as I enjoyed this one, which is funny because Pearl Jam's more in the realm of bands that I like and I enjoy in terms of being a rock band. So please hit that like button and please hit that subscribe button. Thank you for everyone who has made it to the end of this video. And as always, rock on.